Welcome everybody to another Stu Reacts. It's been quite a popular segment. I enjoy it as well, going back through some old videos over the years. Now this one was a cracker. The guy copped a bit of flack about his pool, but hey, who really cares? You know, my pool's pretty disgusting at the moment, so let's get over that. Let's concentrate on the snake. But yeah, as you can see, it's a nice, big, healthy red belly black snake that's enjoying a bit of a swim in his pool. Obviously the pool hasn't been being used for a while, but I knew that this was going to be a little bit of a challenge, mainly because the snake probably had the upper hand, and also I didn't really want to go swimming. But as you can see, well, went for a grab then and missed him by a fair bit then. But it's one of those things when catching snakes in these sort of situations where I know the snake's not going to get away, there's no point rushing it, there's no point jumping in the pool, getting myself wet, you know, doing something silly, which I might end up getting bitten. So just taking my time, and you can see here, so snakes can actually hold their breath for a decent amount of time, depending on the species, you know, geez, anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, I'd say. But yeah, it's quite impressive. This snake's just disappeared to the bottom and just chilling down there for a little bit. But yeah, just got to wait for the snake in this situation to get to somewhere that I can safely and comfortably grab it. Here we go. Yeah, so I've noticed it down the shallow end again. Obviously catching him on my knees too. Got to be pretty careful when doing that. But all in all, the snake, you know, it was a summer's day, but the snake was, I guess, a little bit cooler than you'd expect him to be, just because he'd been swimming around in a cooler pool, and being thermoregulators, their body temperature is basically decided by an external heat source. So if he's cruising around in a cold pool, then his body temperature will basically go in line with that external heat source, which at the time was a pool which was quite cold. Very, very healthy snake, nice and thick, plenty of frogs around, that's for sure. That was in Twin Waters. We catch a lot of red belly black snakes there. But yeah, job done. Now I think we're going to go to the release here in a second. And yeah, this guy, as he just said, he's actually on the golf course. So we get a lot of people telling us when they're playing golf, they come across a lot of snakes, especially red belly black snakes, usually just sort of basking in the sun on the fairway. Majority of people are smart and just let them be. But yeah, when you live on the back of a golf course where there's going to be plenty of wildlife and snakes especially, then you can expect them to enter your house or your backyard every now and then. You can see him flicking his tongue out there, sussing out the environment. And they'll often do this, hey, they come all the way out of the bag, they'll sort of stop, they'll be like, oh, where am I? You know, what's this new environment? But we didn't take him too far, so he'd recognise at least this bushland and potentially the area. He might have been through there before, and off he goes back into the bush. So very happy with that one. Obviously a little sketchy trying to grab it out of a pool, but definitely another successful relocation. Here we go, another episode of Stu Reacts. Now I'm not actually reacting to one of my videos this time. As you can see, there's a decent size, well not decent size, probably a medium sized carpet python. That's a cool little shot. Going across a car park and actually goes up into one of the patrons' cars. Now, Westy drew the short straw here. I think I was either away or busy at the time, so Westy went out, and it was his job to get this snake out of a car. Now, when we're catching snakes in cars, it can be one of the hardest places to get a snake out of, especially around engine bays. And I hadn't seen a snake get into this section of a car before. So as you can see, it's gone in behind the suspension and behind the fuel tank area there. We have to be super careful. Now, we're lucky in this situation it's a python, so it's non-venomous. If we were to cop a bite, it's not really going to do anything. However, we don't really want to get bitten ever. But the other thing is you can grab the snake all you like, but you do not want to pull on it too hard. So you can quite easily injure a snake. So Westy is just doing a gentle head grab there. You can even see there's barely any pressure where his thumb is. So it's more just a technique we use, hoping that if we hold on to the front end of the snake, then the rest of the snake will basically follow it out. And the problem is when you're holding the back end of the snake, usually the front end is around all sorts of things, whether it's posts or poles or electrics in a car, around the engine, around, you know, different bits of metal. So the last thing you want to do is pull on that snake. Whereas if we can control the front of the snake, then, well, most of the time not in this occasion because it took Westy, I think, an hour and a half to get this snake out. Usually they'll just sort of come out. And then sometimes there's other techniques we have to do where we let go of the snake and we think, we let it think that the snake can actually escape, and it starts moving out itself, because at the moment, with Westy sort of gently holding it, the snake would be still sort of tensing up. You can see there at the back there, it's actually trying to reverse back into the area. And it's just a matter of trying to give a little poke on its tail, and hopefully, that encourages. You can see the tail there's finally come out, and Westy did a great job. He definitely was super proud of this moment. He put the effort in, and wow, I'm sure he was thankful to get it in the bag. Come on, Westy, get it in the bag. Oh, that's great. That was a warm day too. So, you can see how chuffed Westy is. He was super stoked with that one. And it's just a good result, to get it back in the bush. We didn't take it far because, he was obviously lives in that area and wasn't really at anybody's house. It was just in a car park and just so happened to go up into someone's car. If it hadn't gone into that car, we would have just let it go into the bush. So, unfortunately for that person, the snake went in their car. But yeah, Westy was able to put the effort in. It took, like I said, over an hour and a half to catch that snake and get it safely out of the car without hurting it. So great job, Westy. Here we go. One of the most epic snake calls you'll ever see. And this video doesn't do it justice either. So just to put it into perspective, this is 3 minutes of footage that was edited out of maybe 45 minutes of video, and some of the sketchiest videoing I've ever seen. But basically, to set the scene, I was out at a home in Didilwar, so we get a fair few big snakes out there, and you can see a picture of the snake right there, a huge eastern brown snake. And to try and put it so you can understand the size of this thing, look at the size of these Bessa blocks, right? And that snake is folded back on itself. So it's about 3 Bessa blocks long, but that's only half of it. So that's how big this snake was, because it's actually sitting underneath the house up on top of the Bessa block wall. Now, all I've got to work with here is one entry and one exit, and it's the same entry exit point. So and that was on the opposite side. So I basically had to crawl in underneath this house. So the gentleman filming for me, he's at that entry exit point. So I had to crawl in, hands and knees, only about 3.5, 4 foot to work with. I used a long pole to encourage the snake firstly off the Bessa blocks, and now I had to encourage it all the way around the edge. Underneath, you can see me trying to lift the snake out. It was so stubborn. It got to that entry exit point and just stayed there. It's like it didn't want to leave, and then I was basically stuck underneath the house because the snake was guarding the exit point. But yeah, I was finally able to get it around, and this is like 40 minutes in. It took me forever to get it around the outside and finally there. So you can see here, it's actually S-ing up at me now. Just off to the side of the vision there, you can see the snake was actually defending itself because it could see my movement, and I'm basically waiting for the snake to move away because I'm still in the strike zone. You can see it there. Advancing towards me is a bit of a defensive measure, but finally it turned the other way, and I was able to encourage it. Come on, snake, hurry up. Usually we don't want the snakes to go away from us, but this time I did. And I was able to get out, but then it turns back on me, sees the movement, and I'm absolutely knackered, like absolutely knackered. And you'll see how big this snake is. And the snake is absolutely knackered as well. It had nothing left. So we were both quite relieved that this call was over, but to this day, this was one of the most insane, I don't think I've ever sweated that much on a job. Absolutely sweating bullets, and just mentally draining too, because you've got to be on 100% of the time, especially when I was crawling around on hands and knees underneath the house. The last thing I wanted to do is get complacent and have the snake, get defensive and me not be ready for it, because I've basically then got to crawl away. But yeah, you can just see the sheer size of this snake. I reckon it was maybe 6 foot, maybe a couple inches over that. And that's a big eastern brown, one of the biggest snakes I've ever caught, and I was pretty happy about it, as you can see. But yeah, I'll never ever forget that snake call out, that's for sure. Welcome everybody back to another episode of Stu Reacts. This time, usually, just to put a bit of perspective, in how I sort of run my business and when we post videos on social media. Usually we sort of have strict times because it's when people are either finishing school or work, and you know, usually gets the most views and attention on a video. This particular video, I just put it up straight away. This was at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, but I was that excited about this video and this situation that I just chucked it straight up on Facebook, and it went off. It went and was shared all around the world, which is pretty cool. As you can see, very big python in a family's pantry. This snake had actually fallen through the roof. I don't have any footage of that, but just to my right hand side in the room next to their kitchen, there was actually a hole in the ceiling where this snake had actually fallen through, and you can see the snake's fired up, a little bit defensive. The way the snake works is obviously it feels like I'm there to eat it potentially and attack it. So it's kind of cornered into that pantry, and all it knows how to do is to defend itself. And it's a big snake. I do not want to get bitten by this snake. It will hurt, that is for sure. But yeah, it's just a matter of, I guess, as carefully as I can, without getting bitten, get this snake out in a bag and relocated. But it puts on a few more strikes. You can see it's eyeing me off quite intently there. But yeah, so I was actually up in the roof, like I said. Very common for snakes to be in roof spaces, as we all know. But I think they had, in that particular room, it wasn't your standard ceiling. It was, I think, a lighter ceiling, might have been an extension or something. And the snake, yeah, the sheer weight of it is just pushed through and the snake's fallen through. But just trying to be gentle with it here and slowly let it come out itself. I think from memory, I bring half the contents of the pantry with me when I pull the snake out, but that's okay. Nothing was broken. Geez, that's the old school uniform too. You can see that one a little bit ripped there at the back, a little bit worse for wear. But you can start to see the sheer size of the snake. It's nearly as thick as my arm, a little bit bitey. Do not want to cop a bite to the face. That'd be the worst base. I've never been bitten in the face, thankfully. Had some close calls, but the snake, oh, there we go. That's right, to let it go. So it's still got its tail wedged in the pantry behind something, probably around a drawer or probably around a pole or around some herbs and spices or something. But there we go. Slowly get it out. There's no need to pull it. That's the last thing I want to do. But yeah, showing him off there a little bit, just because just the sheer size of the snake. So probably about 7-8 foot long, quite thick. But as I just said then, it's definitely not what you want in your pantry. That is a big snake. That was a very, very cool snake call out. And still quite unbelievable that it fell through their roof initially. Awesome. Hey team, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely leave us a comment if you're enjoying the Reacts videos. It's something new we're trying and we'd love to hear your feedback. Make sure that you subscribe down here. Put it there, Finn. Excellent. And if you want to watch any of our other videos, check out our latest one just there. Thanks, guys.